Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Tooth and Claw Podcast. Wes Larson is back with us. We did a subscription episode without him. You had explosive diarrhea.
Huge diarrhea problems.
Sorry about that.
Or you were
That's
guiding
why I
birds.
was gone.
I forget.
It's one of the two. I forget too.
Yeah. And then we have Mike Smith, our sound guy, and I am Jeff Larson, our
Co-host.
backup bear guy.
Yeah.
Sure. Here we are. We're all three here again.
Boy,
did I miss you guys this week.
Yeah.
We barely made it without you.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a little off the rails episode. A lot of laughing.
yeah.
Just
Well,
a whole episode of laughter.
I had a good week in Yellowstone.
Hey.
You guys want to
How
hear
many
a tiny
bears do
bit
you
about
see?
it?
Yeah, I do.
I saw 29 bears,
It's pretty good. In how
12
many days?
12 grizzlies, and the rest black bears in 6.5 days.
Did you win?
Win what?
Did anyone see more bears than you? Are you kind of like the Joey Chestnut?
I'm sure there's
of
people
bear
that saw.
guides?
No, there's people that saw more bears. There's people that's all they do there is they just sun up to sundown, just look for bears in the park. We saw some wolves kill a calf and then the mom like chasing the wolves around, and it was up pretty close. That was cool. Lots of great birds. It was mostly a birding trip, and boy, did we see a lot of birds and some good
Name
ones.
one.
Harlequin ducks, those are my favorites there.
Mm.
Boy, do I love those Harlequin ducks. American dippers feeding young.
No, you
We saw
lost.
some young feeding, Jeff. American dippers.
Whoa.
You
believe
lose.
it?
You named two.
What were they
Oh.
eating? Dippin' Dots?
Probably little bugs. They're little aquatic birds. Aquatic songbird.
Oh.
The challenge was
interesting.
just to
Yeah.
name one.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, Wes.
I'm not good at following rules, Jeff. Not a rule follower.
He's a rebel.
I'm wearing a sweatshirt in my studio. It's going to get real hot. So people that are watching this over video will get to see me in different stages of heating up during this entire recording. Isn't that going to be fun?
Yeah, seems like you should take it off right now.
This sweatshirt's really hard to take off.
Oh yeah, so in the middle of the episode will be
Yep.
much better.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it for me. My robin seems to be gone, so that's nice. Maybe we won't hear it chirping in the back of this episode.
I'm sure listeners will be sad to know it's gone, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty much a
Yeah.
fourth
We should
host
have
at this point.
introed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, you got anything new?
No, I was thinking about Robin when Wes brought up Robin. They really did him a disservice giving him his little outfit when he was Batman's helper. I feel like that's kind of primarily the reason we don't see more Robin in Batman movies, is because we don't really know how to deal with his costume anymore.
It's not
Like, it was-
cool enough.
It was fine back in like the 1950s or whatever, but like we can't really have
Yeah.
a little boy running around in like a vest and stuff
Yeah.
looking cool.
They haven't really updated his costume the same way that we've
Yeah.
updated Batman's. Yeah.
Well, there's that one Robin that turns into like Nightwing or something.
Yeah, that was
And
cool.
he's like, man, that guy was making me dress like such a dork. And then he like gets like a cool one finally. I just know it from the video games. What were you going to say, Wes?
Between guiding and just my property right now is just a lot to take care of. I've just been a little overwhelmed. And so Jeff, graciously is stepping in this week, and he's hosting this. He's going to be the lead on this episode, and I'm really excited to see what he came up with.
Yeah,
Personally.
so actually that's a great segue. So, Wes, how big is your penis?
I'm not going to say.
Just kidding.
Measure it by
Yeah.
buses. How many
Just
buses
kidding.
is it?
But today is a penis episode, so that was
Okay.
the segue that I have written down and I thought
Yeah.
of beforehand.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not going to. Yeah, we're not going to.
No, I was just kidding.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's a lot of penis talk in this episode. I'm either going to be like, let's get more Jeff episodes, or all right, we can take a break from Jeff for a while now. It's not going to be just another episode though.
Jeff gave us a little bit of a teaser with a text last night saying, I'm in a real crazy rabbit hole right now preparing this episode. And now I'm really wondering how deep
Yeah.
that rabbit hole went on this one.
I'm very curious.
I will say too, I have 3 stories, and the third one, you might want to listen to. It's definitely PG-13. You might want to like proof it for any kids listening.
Yeah, this might be like a European PG-13 episode, like
yeah.
whatever their version of PG-13 is. So,
But yeah, Wes was, well, first of all, I was prepping a hippo episode, and Wes was like, yeah, we told that in a news episode. I could not remember it at all, so I'm losing my marbles a little bit.
and it was
But
one
then,
within the last year too.
yeah, the lady who got eaten by a hippo. So anyways, Wes sent me some suggestions. He sent me 2 suggestions, and one of them was just a clip from the show River Monsters with Jeremy Wade. And he's investigating Papua New Guinea, the Sepik River. And anyways, so I decided to go with that one. And the episode, it's episode 1, season 3, and it's called The Mutilator.
Yeah.
And, you know, Wes must have thought I'd be good at a penis episode too, because, you know, he sent me that, and he's like, maybe you should do this one.
You know, over the years of Tooth and Claw, there's been a lot of penis-related jokes that have made it to the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And often from Jeff, and often, you know, we have to kind of talk a little bit about why those get cut. And so I just really wanted to just let Jeff get it all out in one episode. Just
Would you
really,
say I'm an expert?
I would say you're an expert at making penis jokes. Yes. I would say you have excelled in that. And I'm an expert at cutting them out of the episode. So, you know, we're gonna let Jeff really take the reins here and just go with it.
How
Like
much
circumcising them out of the episodes.
How much River Monsters? That's
Yeah.
actually not a penis innuendo. It's about
That old
it's just about
silver
fish.
fox, Jeremy
Yeah.
Wade.
How
Yeah.
many episodes of that have you watched?
I've probably only watched like 5, and a couple of them have been because of episodes that we've done, like the Gooch, how the Gooch stole Christmas.
Yeah,
Gooch.
Gooch is something else.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're on the topic.
Yeah, they've stolen a few Christmases too, I bet. Anyways, in this episode, Jeremy goes out to a really remote group of people, tribe, whatever you want to call them, out in Papua New Guinea, who are like really just isolated from the rest of the world. You can only get there from a boat, and they're just living off of the water, this Sepik River, and like fishing, getting food from the river. They survive off of it. So they're like extremely reliant on this water. But then there's been like a few stories that have gone out into the world of people whose penises have been bitten off while they're in the water, and that they bled out and died afterwards.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
there is like, I don't know, for our female listeners, I think they kind of get it, but not complete. Like, you can never completely get, just like for a man, it's like, that's just one of the biggest,
Yeah.
holy shit, I can't, that's the worst thing that could happen to me type
Yeah.
of feeling in you. Even if it's not actually the worst thing that could happen to you, like,
Yeah.
it feels like that. Like, I remember as a kid, I brought it up in Mike's most recent episode, watching Mission Impossible 2, where he gets shot in the penis. I was like, oh no, he can't have sex anymore.
It also like, and I think the female experience in a lot of ways physically can present some like pain that we could never understand. Like
Definitely.
pregnancy, for people that get pregnant, there's certain things that just like men will never be able to understand that type of pain. But there is something very unique about getting kicked or punched in your groin pain. It is all encompassing, crazy pain. And so when you see someone's genitals get hurt on like TV or movies or whatever, you just feel it. It's kind of like how when we see someone sprain their ankle, because we've all had ankle injuries, it makes us kind of cringe in a different way. And that's how I feel about penis
Well,
injuries
it's like
as well.
in the Jackass movies, they'll have like someone serving a tennis ball at them like 150 miles an hour,
Right.
and it'll be like they'll just cover their privates.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
their face is completely exposed. Everything
Uh-huh.
else is just like, I'll take it everywhere but there, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Totally.
anyways, there's just something ingrained in us. Don't mess with that area. So I think
Yeah.
it's like a fascination. And obviously, Jeremy was like, let's go figure what's going on out there. So he talks to some people, and there's like someone named Francis and then also a local fisherman who have both been attacked in the water. And they both say it feels like humans are biting them. And it's like human bites on their legs. And one of the people thought it was like the spirit of the river was trying to like pull him in because it felt like humans just like biting him and pulling it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Probably not, right?
Right.
You never
Probably
know.
not. Yeah. So yeah, Jeremy starts to catch fish, and he catches a fish that really surprises him called a Pacu, and it surprises him because these are from South America.
Yeah.
And he did not expect it in this water. And he goes and like talks to the tribal leader, and the tribal leader's like, yeah, they introduced him 15 years ago to like try to give us more fish to be able to catch, and it's like destroying everything.
We're going to be eating pacu when we go to Brazil soon.
Ooh.
Like that is the fish that more than often you get served.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're closely related to piranhas. They just look like a big piranha, but they have rectangular teeth instead of like the sharp pointy teeth. And they pretty much in Brazil, in their native area, they pretty much are known as being like a vegetarian fish that eats nuts that fall into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so they
weird.
have super powerful jaws to like break open these nuts and eat nuts. So when Jeremy first catches one, it's like kind of a smaller one. He's kind of like, it probably isn't this. These don't eat, like these don't target meat. And then he starts using meat, and he just keeps catching them. And then when he like interviews more of the villagers, it's just like, yeah, we're getting bit by humans, and these things look like they have human teeth.
They really do.
Mike, look at this.
See, I don't like it when fish have teeth that I guess really have teeth at all, except for shark teeth, I guess. But these aren't nice to look at.
Yeah, they're sharper than a human's teeth, but they look like humans.
They look very
teeth.
human. Yeah, it's unsettling.
So it stands to reason after he keeps catching these, you know what? Maybe these are the fish attacking people.
Biting people's
But
nuts.
in the episode,
they're nut eaters, dude.
like one of the people that was reported to have died from one of these fish, he actually interviews that person. The person obviously didn't die. He was hospitalized. So I'm not sure how much truth there is to the whole viral thing of them like specifically targeting penises.
Okay.
But they definitely are attacking people whose legs are in the water, and it stands to reason that, like, yeah, they might get a penis every once in a while.
Right.
But it's one of those things, I couldn't build a whole story off of it because this is like a super remote tribe who, you know, they're not like reporting stuff to the outside world. So it's really hard to really verify what's actually going on there.
Yeah.
And, you know,
It doesn't, yeah. It's not like totally outside of the realm of possibility that these would bite people too, because they are closely related to piranha. This is a really close cousin to piranhas. So it doesn't, you know, I'm sure he wasn't totally shocked when people thought they might be getting bit by pacus, right?
well, at first he was really dismissive of it. And
Okay.
he was like, that's not going to be it. But then, like, once he kept catching them, and, like, once he interviewed more people and they were like, yeah, it's getting bit by humans, he was kind of like, well, I think he just viewed it as a fish that wasn't going to search for meat.
Okay.
But then,
Okay.
like, the other thing is what it took in the episode was, like, Jeremy was, like, he knew Pacu fish, and he knew their habits and what they did, and it didn't fit the narrative.
Mhm.
But then the fish doesn't fit the ecosystem either. So,
Yeah.
like, they ate up all of the vegetation really fast and honestly did a ton of damage to the local fish, to the
Right.
local vegetation, to the crocodiles even. Like, there's report of them, like, eating hatchlings. One of the tribe leaders said he saw, like, a crocodile trying to get out of the water while they were just trying to eat it.
Oh, wow.
And so it's, like, destroying this ecosystem. And pretty much probably what's happened is in Brazil, way more nuts and fruit fall into the water and they're able to just live off of that. But in this ecosystem, there wasn't nearly enough vegetation, so they turned to meat.
Turned to dicks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking if you see something swimming around and you're trying to get at kind of like the easiest to bite part, I think the penis might be it, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing else is quite as
Yeah.
like dangly and just out there
Well, it's
for you
what's
to go
sticking
grab onto.
off. Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the best. If you have like big old jaws like that, that's like the most meat you could bite off with one bite.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be the most satisfying bite for sure. For those.
What's his
Yeah.
name in Game of Thrones? Well, there's Theon, and who's the guy that cuts it off?
The bastard. Ramsey.
Is it
Ramsey Bolton.
Ramsey, and he's just
Yeah.
eating a big old sausage.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's a Pacu fish. Yeah.
Tooth and Claw is brought to you by Hims. For men, dealing with ED can be uncomfortable, which is why Hims provides access to a comfortable solution with an all online process and personalized treatment options. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for an uncomfortable doctor visit. Just fill out an intake form on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/tooth. That's HIMS.com/tooth for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/tooth. The featured products include compounded products which are not approved nor verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Alright, so that's what I got for Pacu fish. I couldn't really find anything about an actual case of a penis getting bit off and them going to a hospital, though.
Oh, okay.
But you can
There-
imagine what it'd be like if one
Yeah.
did. Kind
There
of.
weren't any stories on the episode?
There's stories, but it's all just like the villagers saying this happened.
Okay.
So that made me have to look into other penis fish, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's the Candiru fish. Wes, you know that one?
Yeah.
The Candiru fish is found in the Amazon region of South
Conjuru,
America.
yeah.
Conjuru.
Well,
And it's a type
Yeah.
of catfish. It's about an inch long and has a thin eel-like appearance. And it's parasitic, so it uses spines on the covers of its gill to attach itself to gills of other larger fish. And then it's able to feed on those fish blood.
Oh,
Now,
weird.
this is the one, Mike. You've seen the movie The Rundown, right?
Oh, of course. It's like
Where the rock gets in the water and she's like, "Don't pee, or the fish will swim up your penis."
Oh, I know that. I watched that
maybe
movie
The Rock
once a
says
week.
that.
Saturdays at 8.
I
Sean
loved
William
that
Scott.
movie when it
I think
came
it's great. Yeah.
Loved it. Christopher Walken.
There's
That's
a
right.
while where that just like was a thing that everyone thought existed, though, in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's to this day. It's still when you're in Brazil, people still talk about Candiru, or I think I'm saying that right, but it's like happened like once, right?
It's Candiru.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
I couldn't find any like scientific proof that it's ever happened.
Really? There's
Mm,
stories of them removing them from urethras.
Are you
Because
sure?
I've looked into this for an episode before. Yeah, they're out there.
Okay.
It's happened. Yeah.
You know what? But mainly it is like myth, right?
No, it's happened before. There's like a medical record of them remove. I think it's only happened once though. And that's why and they think it might have just been like a freak accident. But because of that, the myth has been passed along. But it has happened.
Right.
If you're wrong about this, I'm going to be mad.
The myth is that it will happen if you pee, I think is more what's being said rather than it's never ever happened.
Right. The most recent reported case occurred in 1997. A report made in Portuguese, a Brazilian urologist claimed to have removed a Candiru from a person's urethra. But there's inconsistencies, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, great. That's actually makes it better, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that it can happen. The things that are myth is, like, there's a lot of talk about if you're peeing, it makes it so they're attracted to the pee and will swim up your urethra of your penis. And there's, like, no evidence or anything to support that.
Right.
And there's even myths that have gone so far to say that they can climb out of the water and swim up. If you're peeing into a pool of water, they'll swim up the trail
Stream?
into your penis hole.
Oh.
So, like, it's kind of good because, like, you really shouldn't be peeing into fresh water. So it's like, at least people aren't peeing into freshwater pools then, just because they're afraid of.
Maybe that's how it all started, is just someone was like, I'm so tired of everyone peeing in this good water. Let's make up a lie so people stop.
Yeah. That they can only be removed through surgical methods, which include penis amputation, is like a myth that goes on about them. Also that they'll lay eggs in the bladder.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one
But-
is good.
You know what? Maybe one went into a penis and put its little spikes in there and won't get out. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I found a medical paper that says when it swims into the urethra, it can be difficult to pull out by its tails because the umbrella-like spines near its head may extend and prevent its removal. Forced extraction may cause lacerations of the urethral mucous membranes, which has caused death by exsanguination. Remedies have ranged from penile amputation and suprapubic cystotomy to application of a native herb that softens the spines of the Candiru. So maybe,
right.
I mean, maybe in some of these like little villages in the Amazon, this has happened more than we know.
Yeah, kind of like our piranha story, where it's like from like scientific papers, it's like hard to find any proof that piranhas had killed anyone. But once you started interviewing people, it's like,
Right.
no,
Like, oh yeah, my cousin got killed by one.
Yeah.
Yeah. By some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on me. I should have researched that a little bit harder, I guess. But thank you, Wes, for knowing
Yeah.
that. And pretty serious stuff.
Yeah.
So here's the one I really dove deep into. And you guys probably are familiar with the story, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners maybe haven't. Maybe some people have never heard it, but I don't think the majority of people have dove deep into it.
Okay.
So I was just thinking penises, right?
Right.
I was like, what's a good penis story? I was like, when I was growing up, there was a lady who cut off a guy's penis and
Yeah.
like
Lorena Bobbitt.
threw it out in the
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, John and Lorena Bobbitt in Manassas, Virginia, June 23rd, 1993. And before I get into this one, I just want to quote Logan Paul real quick.
Jesus.
And he says, I don't want to sound like a woke asshole, but dude, women have it hard.
Okay.
Wise.
But
He is the true philosopher.
You know,
of
I'm
our
fine
times.
sounding like a woke asshole, but also I do agree women have it hard.
Yeah. So wait, you're just telling the Lorena Bobbitt story for the end of this episode?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome to our wildlife podcast.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I'll tie at least 2 animals into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have faith.
Alright. So, June 23rd, 1993, 4 a.m., cops were called about like a domestic violence dispute, right?
Yeah.
So, some of the cops go to this house and they like hear what actually happened, but then they're too afraid to put it over their radios because people listen into cop radios, I guess.
Yeah.
So
What was
they're just like,
what was the date? Sorry.
June 23rd,
Okay. What year?
1993.
All right. It's like 2 weeks after Jurassic Park was released.
Mm.
Nice.
A lot of stuff was going on, right?
Yeah,
In this.
yeah.
There was peak entertainment, possibly.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're on the radio telling responding officers that there's a missing appendage.
Hmm.
And people don't really know what they're looking for, but they don't want to like air everything out over the radio. So anyways, Lorena, she went to her sleeping husband and then she played with it while he was asleep to make it hard. and then she made a clean cut at the base and cut it like straight off, right?
Whoa. What was the
Okay.
tool? Do you know?
Yeah. But no, it was like a 8-inch knife, like really sharp Japanese kitchen knife.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting detail.
Yeah. So then,
If that's going to happen to you, you want it to be the sharpest possible
Yeah.
knife.
oh, I should say too, my source, I watched a 4-part documentary series on, it's called Lorena and is
I've watched
produced
that.
by Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
You've
I've
watched it?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's
Yeah,
really, it's
okay.
really good.
So then in this documentary, there's a lady who was supposed to, help find the knife and penis. And she says that cops told her that they thought Lorena may have swallowed the penis. So, so there's just like mass confusion right now. They don't know where the penis is. She's she's not found at this point. So they just don't know what's going on.
That's
And
such
she didn't
good plausible
speak,
deniability. Like you swallow basically the
Yeah.
centerpiece of the crime. They can't blame you for anything. You're walking free after that.
But they're like a really good looking young couple too, just to set the stage a little bit. So I'm going to get into John a little bit here. John says that he was asleep and he felt a tug and then a hard jerk while he was sleeping. And he says that he was just imagining Freddy Krueger's hand coming through the wall. I think he probably has like made that up a
Yeah,
bit,
sure.
but it's still funny. He's an ex-Marine and then at the time was like a current bartender, 26 years old. He fell in love with Lorena and he's kind of a bit of a character. You just wait for me. I'm going to get into all of it, but just to show, he found her engagement ring at a public pool and like came home and just like proposed to her after he
Hey.
found the ring at the
Sure.
pool. So like, I don't know.
Was he like not going to propose had he not found that ring? And he just saw the
Just
ring as like,
waiting.
I guess maybe that's a sign.
Waiting until he found one.
Well, let's just say one of his nicknames after the incident was Forrest Stump.
Okay.
Great.
Instead
Yeah.
of Forrest Gump. He wasn't the smartest guy, so it could have just been like he found a ring and was like, all right, I'm gonna
Nothing else to do with this ring.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, when it happened, his friend Robert Johnson was also staying at the house, which like that'd be insane to like be invited to your friend's house and
And then have your friend get his dick cut off.
yeah. And then I just want to play a little clip from the documentary here.
I collected myself and applied pressure, and my friend Robbie was staying with us. I woke my friend up, I kicked him, and he didn't realize what was happening because he just woke up asleep.
I kind of was like waiting for my friend to get ready because he went and brushed his teeth.
So, why do you think she did this to you?
Well, I was divorcing her, leaving the marriage. I told her that our marriage didn't work out. She wanted to keep the marriage and try to make it work, and she felt real hurt about me ending it.
All right. So it's just, that was like pretty quick after that interview. He's young. It's like pretty quick after the incident, and the audience are just laughing at him, right?
Yeah.
But pretty much he says like, I woke my friend up and he went and like brushed his teeth, and here he is just bleeding out. And he even says like it took him a really long time to figure out what happened. So like cops on the scene, the bed, there was like a big pool of blood on the bed. The Dexter, whoever their blood scientist is, comes in there and they're just like, yeah, this guy stayed on his bed for like way too long. Like he
Just
was
laying
just
there.
like laying in bed.
Oh, no.
But yeah, anyways, John claims the reason she did it is that he told her he was going to divorce her, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If that's true, huge overreaction, right? Well, let's get into Lorena a little bit. At the time, she was 24 years old. She's from Ecuador. She moved to the U.S. at 18 years old and met John at a Marine ball type of thing where he was like, you know, when Marines are full uniform, and he's already pretty good looking, and he's got the full uniform on, so he was peak hotness for him in his whole life.
Can't resist a man in uniform.
She falls in love with him at the dance. She says he's super handsome, beautiful eyes, and like fell in love with him. Well, here's the knife part. Jinsu carving knife that she found. But anyway,
I'm envisioning like a little,
that part.
like a mini katana kind of thing. Just like little samurai sword, slashing it off.
But yeah, so the night of the incident, you know, she went to the kitchen after she was very upset with John, and we're going to get into that. It's very serious. And she goes into the bedroom, pulls down the sheets, cuts the penis off. Then she went to her car and drove away. Now, Mike, in mob movies or mob shows, if someone stabs someone or shoots someone, what do they do with the weapon afterwards?
They're usually not super smart about it. They like toss it in their trunk and then just like kind of forget about it sometimes. Or like throw it in the garbage can or something.
Yeah, but
off the bridge.
A lot of shows and stuff teach you get rid of the weapon, right?
Yep.
So she's like, all right, I'm going to get rid of this knife. She throws it away in a garbage can. But then she's also driving, and she's having a hard time driving because she's still clutching this penis.
Oh, she's still holding it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she's probably got blood on her hands, so it's hard to hang onto the wheel.
You can only imagine how much harder it'd be to stay at 10 and 2 if you're clutching a penis in your hand.
Yeah. A severed one.
Yeah.
Also throws the penis out the window.
Okay.
Into like a grassy field by a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Just not a good place for your penis to be.
No.
Some unsavory things happen outside a 7-Eleven.
If your penis ends up in a 7-Eleven parking lot, you know that somewhere your life went wrong.
That's the check engine light.
Yeah, that's when you should be like, maybe I made some bad decisions.
Although this guy, he doesn't really seem to have like, when does he acknowledge that he no longer has a penis? Because when you said it took him a while to figure it out, I was like, there's no way it takes more than 5 seconds.
Maybe he went into shock or something.
Yeah, it could be.
He claims he was just super tired. But then, like, I'll just skip ahead to the trial part of this. His friend, who was the one who brushes his teeth, Robert, was like, "Yeah, we got pretty drunk that day." So he was just like so drunk, it was like he couldn't tell what was going on. Still,
sure.
Which is it's still
Seems
weird,
like that
but
would
it's the
sober you
only
up.
thing that makes any sense.
Yeah.
This episode of Tooth and Claws brought to you by Graza. It's that time of year. Whether you're grilling on the deck or chilling at the beach, Graza's your one and only summertime, never blended, single origin olive oil. And let me tell you, the past couple of months, I've absolutely fallen in love with this stuff. I've been trying to do a lot more cooking on my own, and just having a big old bottle of delicious olive oil right next to my stovetop, it's really made a huge difference for me. And you know how you always get a little bit of olive oil on your fingertips when you're spraying it around? Secretly, my favorite part of mealtimes is licking it straight off my fingers. It sounds weird, but it's delicious. And that's how you can tell it's the good stuff. And I'm not a master chef by any means, but this stuff has really taken my cooking to another level. And not only that, if you're trying to be more healthy with how you're cooking and what you're eating, the quality of your oil is actually super important. You're going to want Graza's extra virgin oil that's loaded with those heart and brain friendly polyphenols. So get 10% off your first order on Graza's site. And I personally suggest you grab the trio. So you get the frizzle, the sizzle, the drizzle, each for different parts of the meal. Oh, the drizzle on the salad, extra tasty. And they all come in these super fun, easy to use squeezy bottles. Feel like a master chef just spraying it everywhere. So head to graza.co and use TOOTH to get 10% off the trio, which includes sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle, and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. It's summer now. Add Graza olive oil to your summertime patio party arsenal. Visit graza.co, that's graza.co/tooth, and use promo code TOOTH today for 10% off of the trio.
So, I'm going to share my screen once more. Okay, so Lorena, right? She's very panicked. She knows she is probably in some trouble, and she goes to her friend's house. It's super, almost like early. It's so late, it's almost like early morning at this point, right?
Right.
Goes and bangs on the door until the husband comes down. She's like, I need to talk with Jana. Jana comes down. She's like, what's going on, Lorena? Like, what's wrong? And I just want to play this clip. So this is
I calm her
Jana.
down and she's crying. And then she said, I cut his penis off. And I said, you did what?
That's it.
You did what?
You did what?
Oh, my gosh.
So that was Jana's perspective of the incident. So then she gets pulled into the police station. They're like, hey, before we take your statement, before we like hear what's going on with you, where's the penis at? And she's like, it's just in the room. And they're like, no, it's not. And she's like, well, I threw some stuff out the window. So then they go on like, they're like, well, what was like your path? And she like has to give them the route that she drove. And then they're on a big search for this penis.
You know, these cops like probably worked harder to find that than they've ever worked for anything in their lives too.
man.
So motivated.
Yeah.
So
I envision them finding it like the scene in E.T. where they find him down by the weird, it's like feeble
all
and limp down by
white.
the riverbank.
Shriveled.
So yeah, I did John and Lorena, and now this next section I have of bullet points is just labeled the penis. So police found the penis lying in the grass by the 7-Eleven. Willard Hurley, which I love this guy. He was like one of the sergeants. He was high up in the police force. He found the penis, but he was a very religious man. So he couldn't touch the penis.
Come on.
And he
Yeah,
had
that's
to
gay.
call he had to call someone, Mike Perry, a volunteer firefighter, to come grab it as he was like standing with his arms stretched out pointing down at it.
Oh my
That is
goodness.
so crazy.
Just grab the penis.
Homophobia was like at a different level back
That's
then.
Some of the cops were like saying that they think he stepped on it is how he found it.
Oh man. Like a banana peel that you just slip and fall.
Yeah.
So then they bring it into the 7-Eleven, and what do you do if you have this penis now?
Put it on ice.
Yeah.
Well, where would you put the ice?
In a
In
slushy
big
cup.
gulp.
Yeah.
Well, they put it in a hot dog bag.
What?
I mean, it's hot dog shaped.
Sure.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
And then enters David Berman, who is a microsurgeon, and this was his first ever penis reattachment. He was like very young for a microsurgeon.
Must have been a small penis.
Before his 30s, so. And he looked younger than he even was. So, like, when he would get interviewed, like, one guy was like, you don't even know what a penis is yet, which is fun, but kind of a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
So, his main plan, I mean, he'd never done it before, but he's kind of like, well, I just need to attach the major artery and then the major penis veins, and, like, it should work. And he does that, and then the real moment of truth was removing the tourniquet and restoring blood flow and just seeing if that blood was going to flow back into this penis that's been disconnected for a few hours now.
Yeah.
And it does.
Oh,
So he's
right.
able to successfully reattach this penis.
nice.
I'm just thinking
Now-
about all the people I had on my trip in Yellowstone that I told about our podcast. And like they're all in their like 60s and 70s. And I really, really, really hope they don't listen to this episode. Like I
this
really
is the best one to start with.
avoid this one.
Now, why'd she cut the buddy's penis off?
Okay. Yeah. He's not the buddy, first of all.
He's
Yeah.
a pretty bad guy, it turns out.
He is.
But yeah, so she gets questioned by police. She actually gives a really bad answer. It's too bad she didn't ask for an attorney. She says that the reason she did it was because he is a selfish lover, pretty much. I'm going to paraphrase some stuff. We don't need to get like super into it. But comes out later in the trials, like he was a rapist to her as spouses. Like he
was
didn't
sexually assaulting her.
Yeah.
sexually assaulting
Yes.
her. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying
Yeah.
to like
Be
do it.
diplomatic, but no, you're doing
For
a good
something that was like a really like long process. I'm trying to sum it up to not get too gross in this
You
episode.
should, if you want more info on that, watch the documentary. They do a
Yeah.
really good job of painting the picture of what was happening in their house. But yeah, for the purposes of our podcast, like there was a lot of sexual assault happening, and he was being very dominant in taking advantage of her background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always a really hard scenario for someone who's not a U.S. citizen yet to be able to like leave an abusive partner. So there's just like a lot of really components against her.
Yeah.
So in the aftermath, Brett and Todd, who were also my college roommates' names,
Yeah.
are her brothers, are John's brothers, and they went looking for Lorena the night of it all, saying that they were like going to try to kill her because what she did was worse than kill him. And it's just crazy. This is all just like them on TV, or like a like daytime TV interview, just saying like, yeah, we were trying to kill her.
Well, again, like
Attempted manslaughter.
I was old enough to kind of remember this. I think I was like 9. And I remember every news thing was just about how he was maimed and she did all this to him, and how it was like this vengeful wife and this innocent guy. And so I think a lot of the initial news coverage was really kind of compassionate towards John. And so people saying this kind of thing on a talk show, you'd kind of be like, yeah, of course they did. Like she just like cut off his dick for no reason, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, especially at the start before like the sexual assault information really came out. Everyone was on John's side. Like, this lady's crazy. And like the way I remembered it was just like some crazy lady cut off her husband's penis.
Right.
You know?
That's
like,
all.
That's
like,
how the news reported it for a long time.
Yeah. And like, it's still really hard for women. Like, there's the whole, would you rather see a bear or a man in the woods conversation that even us, we didn't really get it at first, right? But it's like, women have every right to be like very afraid of men in general. Yeah. And it makes sense that a lot of women...
We're the biggest threat to them.
Right.
Like, out of everything. Yeah.
Mm.
And honestly, it's gotten a lot better since the 90s, but it's still really bad. But like, if you watch like some of the documentaries like Woodstock, women just didn't have a voice that people wanted to listen to about sexual assault in the 90s. And it's at least getting better, even though we still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, I think
point.
especially...
I'm just saying, like, this time period was like a shifting point in culture.
Yeah. I think especially within marriages, it was really tricky for people to understand that there's still consent. There's still all these different things that have to happen for there to be like appropriate sexual activity. And I think during that time, a lot of people just thought, oh, if you're married, like, you have to have sex with your husband. And that's not the case. Like, that's not... No one has to have sex.
Half of the states, it wasn't even illegal to, like... There wasn't a law against, like, marital rape. There's just marital sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, there's just a lot of mistreatment to women in the 90s, and women... It became like a real... Once it started coming out that she was saying, like, no, he was, like, sexually abusing me all the time, a lot of women started, like, taking her side, which was, like, you know... a lot of guys were like, wait, she cut off his penis and people are like on her side. But then it started to make more and more and more sense why this happened. And Whoopi Goldberg, there's a clip of her doing stand-up where she's just like saying, it wasn't even really stand-up when she was doing it though. She was saying, now men have a little bit of what we feel every day when we're around them. We've put a bit of fear into men. I actually think it's a really good point. I think every man after hearing that story was like, that's scary, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, another funny little tidbit from it was newspapers weren't allowed to use the word penis. So there was a bunch of newspapers just using like tallywhacker and different names.
Wait, is there like a governing body that told all newspapers they weren't allowed to use that word?
I don't know.
That's
It's
crazy
just-
to me.
It was like their editors or their whoever said that's a word we can't use, but then New York Times said like wife cuts off husband's penis, and then everyone started using the word penis a bit, which got me thinking. You know how in high school, I don't know if you were a bit ahead of us, Wes, but for us especially, I'm sure you had it too, where it's just a joke to yell penis in class and stuff.
Yeah.
So I will bet you a lot of this stems from that. It's just
I remember
it was such a taboo word for us.
I was in Sunday school right after this happened in church, and the teacher was trying to illustrate some lesson about how like she was using a newspaper for some illustration, and she held up a newspaper to like kind of show us something, and the headline just said penis in it because it was the Lorena Bobbitt headline, and we just lost our minds, and she just couldn't reel us back in because I was like a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, it was great. Tooth and Claw is brought to you by Ollie. So our last dog, Bryce, was very happy to eat any food we put in front of her. She loved all food, any food, just was her favorite thing in the world. But our new dog, Polly, is a little bit pickier, and she really needs just the best possible food or else she doesn't want to eat it. And that's why I'm really excited to tell you guys about Ollie. She absolutely loves Ollie. She's loved it from day one. She gets so excited to eat every time we put her food out. It is just her favorite time of the day. And that's because Ollie delivers clean, fresh nutrition in 5 different flavors that are going to please even the pickiest eaters. They're made in U.S. kitchens with the highest quality, human-grade ingredients, and Ollie's food contains no fillers, no preservatives, just real food. The recipes are like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries. There's just really good food that even the pickiest dogs are going to love. And I can tell you that because I have a picky dog and she absolutely loves it. So how it works is you fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz. They create a customized meal plan that's based on your pup's weight, activity level, and other health info. You'll get a welcome kit with 2 weeks worth of meals and a free storage container and a guide on how to gradually switch them over to their new diet. You're going to quickly see some great benefits in your pup. You're going to be able to customize your plan, and they have a happiness guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. So dogs deserve the best, and that means fresh, healthy food. Head to ollie.com/tooth, tell them all about your dog, and use code TOOTH to get 60% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. And again, they have that guarantee, so if you're not totally satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/tooth and enter code TOOTH to get 60% off your first box.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit of the trial. So John was facing up to 20 years for marital sexual assault. And that's where it comes in, like, he couldn't be charged for rape because of the state laws. So it was marital sexual assault. And for some reason, he could only be judged for the day of the incident and 5 days prior.
Interesting.
So then, like I was saying, in this time period, it was like very against women being able to like come out against sexual assault.
Yeah.
So it's
it
just
still
really
isn't-
hard.
It still is in this time period, too. Like, it's very hard for women to get their...
And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it was worse.
Yeah.
And it shifted the culture a lot, this whole thing. So with John, a big part of his thing was that his lawyer said he's incapable of lying. And when you watch him in trial, when he lies, it's like, oh, this dude's lying.
Yeah.
But that happens more in 2 months from now when Lorena goes to court. There were some parts of Lorena where it looked like she was assaulting John, like he had scratch marks on his face, and like her mother had told the police that she was like being bad to John. So like there were things that really brought all of the sympathy to John during his trial. There was a quote that looked really bad for him that he said, "I will find you whether we're divorced or separated, and I'll have sex with you whenever I want." So like there's some really bad stuff. And but anyways, John ends up getting cleared of the charges. He's found not guilty. And 9 of his jurors were actually women, and like everyone in the media, everyone just like living in the world, honestly, because it is covered by the entire world, are on John's side right now, right? He goes on like Howard Stern. Howard Stern raised almost $200,000 for him to pay for his medical expenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's just partying. But he also, before he does that, he goes to a ranch outside of Colorado Springs to try to stay out of the spotlight for a little bit. And this is where he's just like working as a rancher with his brother Brett. And he says that one of the bulls got away, or it's a steer, I think, and he had to wrangle it back into its pen, and it kicked him in the penis.
No.
It's just like the worst pain ever.
Good.
So there's an animal attack.
Yeah.
Hey, you brought it. I knew it. I knew you'd bring it all the way around.
All right. It was crazy, though, because for like 2 months, John's just like this innocent guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then Lorena's trial comes 2 months later, and hers, because the first one was domestic violence, it couldn't be televised. But then, like, for whatever reason, they said this one was about, like, her cutting his penis off, so it could be televised. So Court TV, like, gets it on TV. She's also facing 20 years. She was offered a deal to take 4 years and then be let out of jail, but then she'd be labeled as a felon, and she wouldn't be able to get American citizenship, which was her dream. So she decides to fight it. And honestly, by the end of the documentaries, you're completely on her side. But, like, that's a huge risk because, like, she definitely cut his penis off.
Yeah.
You know? So it's going to be really hard. But tons of witnesses come in and testify of John's abuse, including, like, some of John's best friends who, like, played basketball with him. The neighbors would, like, come in and say, like, yeah, we could tell that what was going on. And now what was really crazy is the prosecutor the prosecutor who tried to, like, find John guilty of marital sexual assault, he was the same prosecutor in Lorena's case. So he defended, defended Lorena, he prosecuted John, and then he also prosecuted Lorena. So he was on Lorena's side in the first court hearing, and then he was against her in the second one.
I think there would be laws against that.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Paul Ebert. And, like, when you hear that, you're like, this guy sucks, right? He was on her side, and now he's going against her. But there's a lady who went to the nail salon that Lorena worked at and, like, saw signs of her abuse and, like, saw bruises on her arms. And she called into the courthouse just, like, trying to talk to whoever she could to tell them, like, listen, I, like, saw it firsthand. Once I asked her about it, she said my husband did it, and then she did, like, a terrible job on my nails and eyebrows, and she, like, couldn't function anymore because she was so traumatized. So this lady calls in, and she actually gets a hold of Paul, who's the person persecuting Lorena. So, like, prosecuting. So most any time the prosecution would just bury it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Paul sends it to the people defending her, sends her over to him, has the psychiatrist who's, like, determining if Lorena's insane or not call this lady to, like, get her story. So Paul's actually, like, playing double agent, and he's, like, pretending that he's on John's side, but he's actually protecting Lorena.
Oh, so
and
he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And he's, like, all mad that, like, this lady didn't call in earlier, because then he's like, I could have got him had I had this.
Yeah.
So there's all this court coverage, and during the hearing of Lorena, Tanya Harding does the whole poll on on Nancy Kerrigan, and the Menendez twins are in trial. So it's just, like,
big moment,
crazy, like,
yeah,
everyone's just entertained.
OJ is coming up pretty soon too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think OJ happened already, right?
I think 94 was OJ. I forget.
I think
You're
is
right.
coming up.
Yeah.
So she is found not guilty, but she has to go 45 days in the mental hospital, which honestly, she's still kind of bitter that she had to do any time anywhere and he didn't.
Yeah.
But it's just like the law.
Yeah.
If you win an insanity plea, you have to do that, which makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, listen, I don't want to defend or, like, I'm going to take her side. I think at the end of the day,
You
she was
have to,
going through
yeah.
a lot worse. But also at the end of the day, she did cut his penis off. So maybe some kind of recompense should be paid a little bit.
Yeah,
You think?
I don't know. I don't
You
think
don't
so.
know? His penis was cut off.
Yeah, but
You don't
he
think
did-
there's
he
any
did
kind
so
of
much-
punishment that would be justified.
I
I'm
don't-
saying bury him beneath the prison, throw away the key.
Right.
I'm saying don't cut penises off.
So
is
for
all I'm
me,
saying.
say he did go to prison for 20 years, then
Yeah.
sure. Maybe she has to pay like the tiniest price for that.
Right.
But he got off scot-free.
Yes,
so no, I think
unjust.
like that is his
Totally.
punishment. And I think he deserved worse, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I think by like the letter of the law, they both should have been punished. But I kind of like how it played out where neither of them got punished because like he had his penis chopped off and she was able to like, I mean, I wish that she had a better time with it, honestly, because she had everyone just making jokes about it and stuff. But honestly, she kind of laughs about it when they tell her where they found the penis in the documentary and stuff. So, like, she even finds some humor in it.
Okay.
And they honestly kind of both set up their rest of their lives off of it, too.
Mm.
So, to me, it's like you can either... I mean, the other thing that, like I was saying, legally, there's obviously still a ton of abuse towards women nowadays, but like in the 90s, especially the early 90s, women would call and like say like my spouse is abusing me, and there wasn't much at all cops could do about it.
Yeah.
Like they needed witnesses, they needed like there's a lady in the documentary who was like beaten really severely with a tire iron by her husband. And she wasn't able to do anything because there's no witness. And it's like, obviously it happened,
Yeah.
you know? So a lot of legislation passes after this, but like, I guess my point is if she didn't cut his penis off, he would have never, like, she couldn't have just called for help.
Yeah.
So
think
this
he
was
deserved
kind of
it.
her only way out.
Sure.
And I understand Mike's perspective where he hasn't, sorry, Mike, I just want to defend you real quick. Where
Sure.
you haven't seen the documentary and me and Wes have because it paints John much worse than I am right now. So like go ahead.
Yeah. I think in this situation you should be able to. I think the amount of like psychological, emotional trauma that women in that situation are going to have to deal with for the rest of their life.
For sure.
Like she should be able to cut off all the penises she wants.
And she didn't, like
Yeah.
Jeff was saying, she didn't really have another course of action that would have been as
No.
effective as that. So
There's a weird power dynamic. Like he's
Good
a
for her.
Marine and she's a immigrant. There's just a lot of things at play.
yeah.
So yeah, chop away, Lorena.
Well, and in 1994, like I think there was a bunch of attacks that spawned this, but especially Lorena.
Yeah.
Lorena attacking her husband, but also all the attacks that happened to her. But a Violence Against Women Act passed by Bill Clinton, and like
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is on the documentary just saying we need this bill. And then Newt Gingrich took the funding. Gingrich.
Gringotts.
Gringotts.
Yeah, there you go.
Takes the funding away from the bill.
Uh-huh.
And
sounds about
then
right.
there's a ton of protests and they make them reinsert it. It's just
Yeah.
crazy that nothing changes, you know? It's
Yeah.
just the Clintons and Bernie Sanders and Newt. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
The weather's starting to heat up. Your nighttime bedroom temperature has a big impact on your sleep quality. So it's really important that you're able to stay cool enough at night and still be able to sleep really well. So if you wake up and you're too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. This happened to me just last night. The room was a little bit too warm, but my sheets were just the perfect temperature. And that's because Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA. They use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. And the other great thing about them is that traditional bed sheets really harbor a lot of bacteria. They're very easily dirtied and they can get really gross. And it can lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses, a lot of gross stuff. Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning antibacterial bedding, such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth and require up to 3 times less laundry, which is amazing. I mean, not only are these sheets temperature regulating, but they're also bacteria resistant. So It's pretty amazing. They're made for your skin. They're going to help so you're not having clogged pores, acne, all of that kind of stuff. And they're really comfortable too, which is super important to me. I love having comfortable sheets. We live in an age where we have access to comfortable things, so why not get comfortable sheets? You're spending a third of your life in bed. You might as well be sleeping on sheets you love. Upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/tooth to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save 40%. And if you use our promo code TOOTH at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. And Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/tooth and use code TOOTH to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/tooth to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
But okay, so yeah, a bit of aftermath now. So he was hiding out at the ranch. A bull kicked him in the penis, and then he calls his lawyer or whoever, and he's like, "Listen, I think I'm gonna leave the ranch." And the guy's like, "I think that's a really bad idea." And he's like, "Well, there's a John Wayne Bobbitt lookalike contest at a local Hooters, so I think I can win it."
Dude.
So then he starts partying. It seems like he just says yes to like every opportunity anyone presents him, and everyone wants a piece of him right now, you know?
Yeah.
So he started a band called the Sever Parts, and it doesn't do well at all. So then if you can't make it in a band, you gotta go to porn, right?
Yeah, of course. Frankenstein penis.
So first he goes into a porno called John Wayne Bobbitt Uncut, and it's like one of the highest, like most successful pornos ever, because everyone wanted to watch it just to see what his penis looked like.
I'm kind of curious, honestly.
Even like the microsurgeon was like, "Yeah, I got it just because I wanted to see like how my handiwork was looking."
That's awesome.
And then the porn guy, Big Shocker, turns out was just taking complete advantage of John, and like it's sold to like record amount, and yeah, does huge numbers, but he doesn't make nearly what he should have. And then because it's so successful, he decides to do another porno movie called Frankenpenis. And in this movie, he decides to get a penis enlargement operation. He's going to make his penis bigger in the actual porno movie, and he does it. And everyone's like, "That seems like a really bad idea, John."
Yeah.
And only him and like the penis surgeon are like, "No, don't worry about it." And turns out it was a really bad idea to do a penis enlargement surgery on a surgically attached penis. So the guy like adds fat in it or whatever, and it just causes him a ton of problems and like severe pain. So he's kind of starting to get his comeuppance a bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then he starts working at the bunny house. Mike knows what that is. Mike, what's the bunny house? No, it's like a
petting zoo.
It's like a sex site in Nevada. And
I have heard of that. Yeah.
It was like kind of their way around not being able to advertise, because like they couldn't advertise, but then they, like TMZ or whoever, could say like, "John Wayne Bobbitt, now he's working at the bunny house." And so then people would find out what the bunny house was. But while he was working there, he got arrested for stealing $140,000 worth of clothing and then returning it to other stores of the same brand. So he's like stealing clothes and then returning it to its store down the street. And turns out that wasn't the best system. So he gets arrested, and then the bunny house posted his bail. And when they post his bail, they like have this huge party set up for him. And instead, John takes one of the workers, like one of the girls from the bunny house, and goes all the way to Niagara Falls with her, and he's just on the run. So they're pissed because they paid his bail to like get him back, and he just leaves.
He's gone.
And then later with this girl, he gets arrested for domestic abuse. and he gets 15 days in prison. But then when she tells her story, is like, no, he almost killed me. It's like 3 days of just like all the worst stuff you can imagine a man doing to a woman. And then she's like, I eventually just played dead, and he like would talk to me and I just played dead. So then he thought I was dead, and I saw him like getting bed sheets and stuff, and I ran out of the room and was able to get help. But then, like I said, the laws were really bad. She didn't have any proof of like what all had happened. So he didn't get as much punishment as he should have. And then he got married again in Vegas, and his second wife, when they got divorced, was able to prove a bunch of abuse and able to take all of his money. So now he's like pretty broke again. Keeps getting taken advantage of every turn. In 2024, he lost all 10 toes. Apparently because of drinking water he drank in the 80s at some camp. Weird. That was like contaminated.
I wonder how they can trace that specifically back to that event.
I think probably other people got it that were at the camp too.
Yeah.
And then the documentary ends at his house. Of course, he has the custom license plate, and it just says DJ Trump.
Of course.
And it goes to him, and he's sending freaking Lorena love letters every single Valentine's Day.
Weird.
So then it goes to Lorena, and she's like, I don't know why he's still doing this. I cut his penis off. I obviously don't like him. Like, she's awesome.
That's
so
amazing.
A little bit of her after it, she went like straight to Disney World, and then she went back to Ecuador for a few years. She met the president of Ecuador, and this was just a Wikipedia sentence. They became the godparents to the same baby at a baptism together. Her and the president of Ecuador. So,
wow. Good for her.
Then she remarried David Gallinger, and they had a daughter, and you could just tell like they had such a healthy relationship. So, but it seems like she could have been a very loving partner to anyone who showed her love, you know?
Yeah.
So she's a really good person, is my point. She found Lorena's Red Wagon organization, which helps prevent domestic violence through family-oriented activities. So I'm going to donate to that. And then in April 2009, she went on Oprah Winfrey and said she had no interest in talking to John. But then in May of that same year, the show called The Insider just paid them a ton of money each, I think. And they got them both together again. And he apologized to her for the way he treated her during their marriage. And it's like, if you watch the documentary, he's in complete denial still of everything. He's just like, yeah, she didn't like me because I was divorcing her.
Yeah.
And it's very delusional. But at least he was able to say in this, I guess, that he messed up. Or like that he's an awful husband.
Good.
Yeah. But how else can I tie this into animals, Wes?
I don't know. I'm
Besides
way past
the bull.
that at this point. Yeah.
Well, the scientists also named something, the bristle worm is also now informally known as the Bobbitt worm after the case because it attacks its prey with scissor-like jaws.
Oh.
The Bobbitt worm is a predatory species that gets up to 10 feet long. It's like an ocean worm and has the average diameter of 1 inch. And then it has like razor sharp jaws that can just cut.
Jeez.
That's the final story of this.
Okay.
And I just want to say too, if you're in an abusive relationship, please call the National Domestic Abuse Hotline at 800-799-7233. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope, I think it's good to like help clear Lorena's name, you know? I think a lot of people like me were super young when all this happened. And all we know is a story of a like angry wife who cut off a husband's penis. And turns out he totally deserved to get his penis cut off.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we also learned an important lesson about how ADD works on this episode, where I sent Jeff a prompt about Pacu fish, and it turned into an hour-long episode about Lorena Bobbitt.
Anyone could have seen that coming.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good story.
Sure.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
they made a whole documentary out of it. Must have been pretty good.
All right. So do you guys have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Nope.
I got a lot more info.
No, I think we're all right. Let's move on to our categories.
Let's do it.
All right. Wes, you have a good time?
It was an unexpected time. It's not what I was expecting out of this episode. Yeah.
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 You
Yeah.
know?
All
All
right,
right.
you know what?
so-
Next time, I think I'll just do my job.
Learn your
I
lesson.
think people are going to like it.
Okay.
All right. Categories. So, first category. All right. So, like the over-under game?
Uh-huh.
This time we're going to do it with Mike. Mike, how many pop culture injuries can you name in 30 seconds is the game? And Wes, what do you think the number is?
Pop culture injuries.
Or sorry, pop culture penis or ball injuries. Like groin injuries.
In 30 seconds?
Like, I'll give you a freebie. Like the Simpsons football to the groin would
Okay.
be one.
Oh, I'm not.
I'll
okay.
say 4 in 30 seconds.
I'll take the over.
All right, I got a timer.
All right. And then if I lose, I'll donate an extra 100 to that domestic charity.
Okay.
You want to
All
change
right.
your number?
No,
4 is low. All right.
in 30
Ready,
seconds.
Set, go.
We've got Chris Paul hitting any number of other opposing players in the ball starting at Wake Forest back in his college days. We have Carlos Boozer punching the referee in the nuts. Football to the groin, Lorena Bobbitt. I don't know if we're going to count those.
Wait, you can't do football. You can't do any that we
I
mentioned.
said I was giving it to him.
Oh,
Keep
okay,
going,
then
keep
I
going.
would've-
Okay,
sorry.
Lou Dort grabbed another basketball player's balls. I'm just doing basketball stuff. This is maybe not fair. What are the guy in that one? Oh shoot,
That's
what's his
30.
name? He falls on
Wow.
a branch on his groin. No,
4 exactly. That was bad.
I tried to explain him a little bit too much. I did a
You
bad job.
did.
That was a lot.
Not efficient at all.
I didn't know sports counted, but yeah,
Yeah.
it should. That is
Sorry.
pop culture. No, it's okay.
Yeah, we got in Wes got in an argument during
Yeah,
the counting.
Derailed it.
That
I wasn't going to be able to
fair.
go anymore, but whatever.
All right. Shout out a 90s daytime TV moment. So, me and Mike, we were both, when the 90s ended, we were 11?
12, yeah, 11, 12.
And
Yeah.
Wes was, like 15 or 16?
I was 7.
So
17
you were
when it ended.
raised more in
I
the
was-
90s than
Yeah,
us,
the 90s
but-
was like my adolescence.
Yeah.
One that I remember very clearly is the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where his uncle talks about his dad leaving him, and it's like this really kind of emotional moment between Will and his Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was poignant because it's like, it was a very funny show, and they always kind of had this like conflictual relationship, him and his uncle, like they kind of were always at each other's throats. But then they have this really emotional moment where you see how much they love each other. And I just thought it was, for me, it made me realize like, oh, like men can show their emotions too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did a real one. This is just a 90s daytime TV moment.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
One that always sticks out in my brain is Michael Jackson dangling his baby over the balcony.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a really, really huge thing. For some reason, like I'm sure there were bigger stories that happened in and around that time, but that was one that was just a really big focus of attention for everyone at my school. So
Yeah.
it was weird how he like
was
came
weird.
out, put his baby over and like laughed about it and then went back in. Then he like came out and people were screaming in terror, but also like celebrating him. It was a weird, really weird
Yeah.
footage if you go back and watch it.
I
It was
think
kind of
I'm gonna
around when
zag.
public opinion was turning apart, like up against him too.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I'm gonna zag. I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
in today's,
I'm
in
just
today's
saying-
news cycle, it like wouldn't even make the headlines probably.
I'm
I'm
just saying
just
if you're
shouting out a
grabbing-
moment. I'm not saying this is the craziest.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the public opinion.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like if you're holding a baby, you don't just like drop him accidentally normally.
Normal.
Yeah.
Like he
That's
had the
true.
baby pretty well grabbed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's
I
like
didn't think he
some
was
poor
gonna drop
judgment,
it.
but yeah.
Yeah. But like people act like he almost killed a baby, and I
Right.
don't really see it that way.
No,
I agree.
not even.
I mean, the classic for me was just I didn't even watch it that much because it's a little too gross for me. But like, just the Jerry Springer showing you how different people's lives are from you, and the whole "Are you the father or not the father?" was just
Maury.
so bizarre
Yeah.
to me. I just couldn't believe it. But yeah, I think I'll go with Zach from Saved by the Bell when he narcs on the guy for doing drugs.
Oh yeah.
Zach.
There were some crazy Saved by the Bell episodes.
Yeah.
The I'm so excited, I'm so excited, I'm so scared moment. You guys remember that?
Mm.
Okay.
Or-
that was another drug episode, like caffeine pills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
All right. Your most shocking breaking news you remember from the 90s?
For me, it was Kurt Cobain dying. We were living up just north of Seattle at the time, so it was, even when at my very young age, I think I was like 5 when it happened, but it was all anyone was talking about, and for that to be like all pervasive into even like kindergarten school kid conversations, it was the first time I was kind of confronted with the reality and the grittiness of life and death
Yeah.
and stuff. It was a pretty intense little stretch of time there for us.
For me, it was the O.J. Simpson Bronco chase. I still remember like the class I was in when that happened, and I remember when they found him not guilty, but the Bronco chase was just crazy.
I have Bill Clinton's sex scandal breaking.
Yeah.
Monica
Yeah.
Lewinsky.
Yeah,
'Cause I
that
was-
wild.
I was like 11, so I just kind of barely could comprehend what it even meant.
Yeah,
But I was getting there, so it's kind of like how I learned
So
what
wait,
sex
she
is.
put her mouth on it?
Yeah. That's another one where honestly the news did such a bad job of painting like the portrait of her.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I really like called Slow Burn, and they did a whole season on the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and you get a really good feel for just how kind of abusive that relationship was too, and the
Right.
weird power dynamic and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, and then most shocking breaking news. Or no, that's the one I just. I want just a memorable penis from a movie or TV show.
Oh,
I
how can I decide?
My mind goes to Eastern Promises. There's the whole scene with Viggo Mortensen where he's fighting like Russian gangsters in a bathhouse,
The bath, yeah.
and his dick is just swinging the whole time. So that's just when I hear like penis scenes in movies, that's where my mind goes.
I kind of think it was a bad decision because when I watched that movie, that scene, the only thing I can look at is his penis.
That's all I remember from
It's
that
like-
movie.
yeah,
Like, that's
right.
truly it. I remember he has tattoos
Right.
and that his penis is swinging around in that bathhouse scene.
Yeah. Like it could be like Jackie Chan level of choreography fight scenes, and I'd
Yeah.
just be like locked in on the penis. It's like, why even bother? You know?
Yeah.
Growing up like conservative religion or religious family, right? We didn't watch R-rated movies, so I never really saw a penis in anything until in college. I'm watching the movie Amadeus,
Yeah.
the Mozart movie, and it's just
Right.
like no reason for a penis to be in that movie. And I was just shocked. I was like, I didn't even know they could put penises in movies.
That's great. Great movie. I love that.
Yeah.
The one I think about a lot actually is in Ingmar Bergman's movie Persona, the old 1960s movie. And at the very beginning, there's a prologue where it's doing like subliminal imaging, kind of like that scene in Fight Club where he splices in a couple of frames of like sexual
Pornography.
content into the
Yeah.
movie film reel. And at the very beginning of Persona, there's like a frame or two that just flashes so quick. And I wasn't all the way locked into the movie just like quite yet because it was just starting. And I didn't want to go back I didn't want to like rewind because I was like, let's get into this movie. Let's get going. But for the next 15 minutes, I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw a penis. I need to go back and make sure. So like a half hour into it, I went all the way back to the beginning just to make sure. And yeah, there's a penis there just for
Dude,
the briefest
you're
of
good at
moments.
spotting them.
Yeah.
LeBron.
You got a real eye for him.
LeBron
Oh yeah,
penis.
LeBron's. Yeah.
All right. And then next category is a person where karma eventually caught up to them. You guys are going to hate my answer for this one.
I thought of the warden from Shawshank Redemption because that one's always like really satisfying to me, where he, in spoilers if you haven't seen this movie, where he like has the one guy killed that could get Andy Dufresne like off just because he wants him to keep cooking his books for him and stuff. And then when Andy gets out, he just completely screws him over and the police show up and he kills himself. So that one was always really satisfying to me.
Yeah. I hate that guy.
Yeah, me too.
Obtuse, as Andy calls him. I'm going to go with, so this is another real life one. So do you remember a couple of years ago, there was a 101-year-old former SS guard that facilitated like some of the concentration camp goings on? And they wheeled him out in his wheelchair and he was like holding the binder up in front of his face because he didn't want anyone to see him. But he was 101 years old and they gave him like 10 years in prison. And it was just like, you know what? It better late than never, I guess. Ideally, it would have happened 70 years ago, but like at least he's, still alive to acknowledge and get kind of owned for what he did.
Yeah. Because it feels so terrible when those people die and then they find out and it's like, oh, he just got to live his whole life in anonymity. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad they caught that guy.
Mine is, I came up with the question. It wasn't like I wanted to just shout this answer out, but then the more I thought about it, the more I think it works. I'm going with Steve Irwin.
Whoa.
Kinda.
I do kind of hate that.
Honestly, though.
Yeah.
But then, like, he was picking up deadly animals all the time and, like, messing with crocodiles, messing with wild animals that can kill him all the time. Yeah. So, like, it is karma. Mm-hmm. As Norm would say, fruity fish got him.
Yeah, fruity fish got him. Yeah.
Is that karma, though?
Life a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I think there's a lot of defense to what he was doing, but I still don't think there's any defense that he was like, at least at a minimum, bothering wildlife
for sure
that was dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. That's a hard one for me, but I will say my view of Steve Irwin has changed a bit. Like he was still like a huge hero of mine, and I think he inspired so much good for wildlife that the bad that he did outweighs the good. But I kind of, you always wish that person could just exist in a vacuum where like they got to do it and they could pass that message. But now there's so many clones of him doing it that I wish weren't, like out there harassing wildlife. So so he definitely did do some harm too.
Yeah. And I don't think karma necessarily, or I should just say, like, I don't think he was at all a bad person.
Right.
But I do think it's still karma.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go to listener questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. So I did 90s themed, and we got some fun ones. Wes, this is your friend, does nails, longtime listener, Gaudy Octopus.
Val. Yeah.
I should say our friend.
Our friend. Yeah, you know Val pretty well.
Okay, so you can only keep one of these 90s animal movies. Homeward Bound, Free Willy, or Air Bud.
I'm keeping Free Willy.
I think I'm keeping actually my least favorite one of them now, but Homeward Bound, just because I got a lot of use out of that as a kid and just absolutely
we watched that a lot.
Loved it.
True. Which movie do you think involved the least amount of animal cruelty?
I don't know. I mean,
probably Air Bud because it's just a dog doing tricks.
Yeah, that dog probably loved its job. Yeah, probably Air Bud.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always wondered in Homeward Bound, is it the first one? In one of the movies, I forget who, Shadow, I think, gets the porcupine needles in his face. And that just looks so real that it's like that probably they just actually let that happen to that dog. It's
They had,
so
like,
sad.
I'll
Real
change
wild
my
animal
answer
actors.
to Air Bud. You just talked me out of it, Mike. Or Free Willy. I guess Free Willy was really good for orcas.
Yeah, it's good for orcas. I wonder
Yeah.
about the one they used in the movie, though. I don't know what happened to that orca.
Sometimes, that orca sacrificed itself
Yeah.
for the good of all orcas.
Fair enough.
I'd heard they released it and it just wasn't able to reassimilate back into like normal orca life, but that's just hearsay. I have no
I think
idea if
that's,
that's true.
pretty typical for most.
Well, that's
of
on
the,
it.
Like, captive.
That's its fault.
After being in like a tank, they could
I mean,
Just
barely fit
be
it.
normal.
If we put you back in the ocean, it's up to you
No,
now.
right.
You know? They're supposed to be smart, aren't they?
Couldn't figure out how to put on a hat
All right.
like the rest of the orcas.
Gon's artist asks favorite 90s toy.
Another friend of ours. She did the art for the Treadwell episodes. Favorite 90s toy?
Yeah.
Bop it.
Mine was my creepy crawlers oven.
Oh,
I could
yeah.
cook little
That's a good-
plastic bugs.
That's
with.
way better than I actually don't like Bop It at all. It's the only
Just
one I can
got
think of. Though.
super heated and had like weird chemicals for kids to play with.
So cool. My
Yeah.
friend brought one into school for show and tell and made everyone little treats. And it was
Yeah.
just like abhorrent. And there was like a pink
Oh,
fog
it
that
smelled
gathered on the
so
ceiling
bad.
and stuff.
Like I couldn't go in my room for hours after I ran that little oven. Yeah.
It's great.
Those ovens are so funny. I'm probably going to go with Beanie Babies.
You love Beanie Babies.
Man, Millennium, when I got my hands on that, I thought I had it made for life.
Yeah.
Your retirement plan was.
When I think
set.
of 90s toys and you, I do think of Beanie Babies. So I think that's a
Yeah.
good answer. Yeah.
Okay, Etta Grubb wants to know if Wes ever had sex with that Robin.
No, I did not.
Mm.
It's not chirping.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gone.
it's not chirping, but I didn't.
I don't
no,
think
there
you would
was
tell
nothing.
us if you had.
When I left for Yellowstone, it was still chirping. When I came back, it was not. So hopefully it found a mate and it's happy, but I'm glad to have it gone.
Jessica Fair wants Jessica's Fairs. I don't know. If you could bring one piece of fashion back from the 90s, what would it be?
I think for me, just like really bright neon clothes. I just really liked all the neon and
That's more of like an 80s thing, though, right?
That's
No,
kind of
like-
was my first thought too.
no, when there was like a lot of like pink and yellow and like
Definitely
neon
more than there
green
is now, for sure.
in the early 90s. Okay, a backup then would be silk shirts. Silk
Oh,
shirts
yeah.
really had a moment in the 90s, and boy, did they feel good. So I'll say silk shirts.
I'll go Jinko jeans.
The Jinkos.
Those are
I don't
kinda
even
back.
want them for me, but like seeing someone with just the hugest jeans was
Yeah.
so like
It's
I
so
Kids are
loved it.
kids are wearing those again.
They're kind of coming back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the wallet chains. Those are kind of making a little bit of a comeback, but those were
Yeah.
like, if I saw someone
Yeah.
with a wallet chain, I was like, that dude is sick. That guy has to be the coolest. I'm going to get one. I'm going to order one right after we finish recording.
I liked grunge fashion too. Jeff kind of has a grunge look going on right now, like a
Yeah,
bandana in
the
his
bandana's
hair, and yeah,
Great look.
yeah.
Yeah, should throw on a flannel, be in the
Yeah.
sweatshirt group with you guys. Not a sweatshirt, but bundle. Back J Reed wants to know thoughts on Fred Durst.
Oh, complicated.
I don't want to say anything definitive because he seems like the kind of guy that might have skeletons in his closet that I just don't
Yeah.
really know about. But I will say that in the year 2025, still kind of in the public discourse in as far as like rock music community is concerned. And I have the utmost respect for anyone that outlived the new metal phase and can still kind of pull his weight socially. It's like kind of amazing that we all know his name and what he looked like and who his partners were and all that stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, for me, new metal isn't good music, but sometimes it just like scratches the right itch for me. And especially like at the gym or whatever, sometimes I'll re-listen to some new metal favorites. Fred Durst specifically always seemed like a really bad person to me, but he kind of led that movement, and who knows? That was kind of his like persona, so I don't know if he actually is or if that's just kind of what he was just trying to be, like a bad boy, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, again, growing up conservatively, he was like too much for me, but I still listened to Limp Bizkit.
To
Dude,
me,
their first
yeah,
album is so good.
Yeah.
like the soul patch and like backwards hat and stuff. Like he was always like kind of cringy, but it always felt like genuine enough that it didn't bother me, I think.
Yeah. No, I think he was being very true to himself. Yeah.
Also, if you watch a documentary called Woodstock 99, he's like such a crazy character in it because it's just like, obviously things are going off the rails. Like it's badly organized. People are getting hurt. And then like they're trying to just settle everyone down. And he just like turns the volume all up. He's just like, let's just get this thing as like
Into it.
crazy as possible. Plays the song Break Stuff, and like everyone just like destroys everything.
They told him to bring it down, and he was just like, no. And honestly, that's fair. Like, you don't put Limp Bizkit on at that point if you want them to like turn down the volume. Like, I get it, you know? The organizers were to blame for that.
Yeah. Okay. Frosty Tube asks, favorite television commercials from the 90s, because commercials were often big, bright, colorful, geared towards young people, especially in that time, like soda and fast food or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll start us off. I love Capri Sun commercials. Made me really...
Yeah, Capri Sun.
Where it's just like following the stream of liquid and all the kids were just like surfing and doing whatever. It's just...
It seemed like crazy technology. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Terminator and Terminator 2, but it's a Capri Sun juice flying around.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I'm gonna pick a weird one for me. But there was a Marines commercial in the 90s where it's like a knight that is fighting a dragon or something. And then at the very end, he turns into a Marine. And it was like peak military propaganda, I think, because it really made Marines seem like the
That's
coolest.
why Mike's brothers joined up.
Both my brothers. Like, you get dragons? I'm going to go with the Budweiser What's Up commercial. It's probably the most annoying in retrospect. How many people copied that and did it for decades and continue to do it.
Jeff
to this day.
still do it to
I
this
know.
day.
It's insane. But it was a phenomenon for weeks after the Super Bowl. I think it was the Super Bowl. I forget who it was. The Packers were playing, I think. But just everybody was doing it to each. I was doing it to my dad, and he would do it back to me. And that's like not a thing that my dad would do, you know?
It was the golden age. The golden age of Super Bowl commercials, because now they just like throw in celebrities and think that's enough.
Right.
But yeah, back then,
I hate it.
Some great commercials.
Having been watching Wimbledon or French Open, Matt Damon's in like these commercials where it's just like talking like he thinks pickleballs is about the food pickles.
It's so stupid.
And it's just like, I don't like you as much anymore.
Right.
Like you're an A-list celebrity that I don't want to watch as much anymore. Or like Will Ferrell in like the PayPal commercials.
It's so bad.
I think you're less funny now. You're ruining your entire reputation by a little paycheck.
Well, they do it in movies now too, where they just throw in someone that you're like, ooh, I know that person. And they think that's enough to like make their movie good. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
We're better than that.
Yeah. Commercials.
We're better than that.
All right.
Should we give her a claw rating?
I think I had subscriber ones, but
I'm giving what's her name?
Lorena Bobbitt.
I'll give her a pretty easy 10 claw.
Sure.
I'm all the way on her side.
What about ouchies?
Ouchies. That's a pretty big ouchie. I'm
Not
gonna give
many.
it.
I mean, he didn't get out of bed.
Yeah, that's true. The bull is almost worse. Yeah.
To me, the Franken penis is
the Franken weenie.
Got it the worst.
So I'll give it 6 ouchies, but I'm gonna give Lorena 9 claws as well.
I would say if that.
Or you did 10. I'll do 10.
I gave her a 10.
Yeah.
I will say I think that fish, the
Pacu fish.
Candiru.
No, Candiru. Yeah.
Candiru.
Yeah.
I'll give that a 10.
Yeah, that would
swimming up there and
worse.
putting its barbs into you and you can't get it out.
That's a good fish.
I want to do one subscription question too, because
great.
We should get our subscribers on here. Okay, so this is from Brittany. Hey guys, so I just watched the movie 65. And it got me thinking, do you think it's possible we have already been visited by aliens back when dinos roamed the Earth, and possibly around the same time Earth was being destroyed by asteroids, and they just looked at our planet like a total uninhabitable place, not worth their time?
The way you're reading this makes it hard to...
It's possible, I guess. Yeah.
I didn't really follow that well.
Yeah.
But
Mike, we saw that movie together, didn't we?
65 or whatever?
Yeah.
45, 75?
With Adam Driver.
Yeah. That's a
But there
crazy
was
movie.
always like crocodiles and sharks and stuff, right?
Yeah. The thing that really bothered me about that movie, and I still remember it to this day, is that they've like created fake dinosaurs for it, like dinosaurs that didn't exist in the paleontological record.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, do they not like have the rights to dinosaurs? Like, why didn't we just use dinosaurs? Like, why do we have to use these
Like, there's
weird,
so many options for dinosaurs.
right? Like, why'd we use these weird, bizarro ones?
I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
a
it
lack
just-
of dino action in that movie
Man,
that I
that
found
would
baffling.
be
yeah,
our world to have rights to dinosaurs.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think, me and Mike talked about this a little bit. I think the only way aliens could get here is if they're robots. I don't think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think physical beings can
Yeah.
travel.
I feel like in a limitless universe, surely there's beings out there that have invented a way to do that. But the thing that I don't think is that they would come here just to like observe or like I think if they came here they would destroy us. So I don't think they visited us yet.
Right.
But that's
But
what
that's
the
just
three body
because we
problem
would
is what made me
destroy
think of that.
them.
Yeah, that's the whole Dark Forest thing.
Right.
Maybe
and
they're like
read those books. They're great.
waiting for us to be able to make peace so that they can bring us in the fold, you know?
Yeah.
Could be.
Also, Regina was asking if you think horses and zebras switch places, like zebras are horses now, and horses are zebras. How similar would everything be? Like, would we still have like all the zebra lore that we have around horses? Mike, do you think you would still hate horses if horses were just like zebras and zebras were like horses?
Zebras, I mean, they're just horses with a barcode, right? It's like they're the same.
But you
thing.
liked seeing zebras in the
Oh,
wild.
the zebras are so much cooler than horses out there.
Yeah.
Not being subservient to humans just for a little handful of alfalfa or whatever horses eat.
Yeah, I wonder. Because I've just heard zebras are so mean. Like people that have worked with zebras just say they're the meanest animals.
But like,
I
so
wonder-
are wild horses, right?
I don't know. I think it's different though. I think zebras are even worse. But who knows? I don't know.
know.
I honestly
They
don't know
probably
this
get
one.
pissed. They're not quite as big, right? So they'd
Yeah.
probably get mad at us riding them all the time.
I
Yeah.
personally I'm glad I think horses are more beautiful than zebras because we have so many varieties of horses, and zebras all essentially
true.
look the same to me. So
The
I'm glad
Olympics
that
of like how good your horse is would be so
Yeah.
boring with zebras.
yeah.
True.
So
I
yeah.
give horses a 0 claw. Zebras get a 8.
all right.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see how people react to this
Yeah.
one. Not really a typical.
We'll closely monitor the metrics.
It's
This
fine.
was your first episode.
I was giving you a hard time, but that's the
Listen,
special
I look
sauce
for
that you bring to this
entertainment.
podcast.
A lot of
Yeah.
times it's more animal focused. Sometimes it's not as animal
Sure.
focused.
Yeah. We've released hundreds of episodes. There's going to
Yeah.
be some that go a little different direction, and that's totally fine.
I don't
There's
know what
the
you're talking about,
bobbit.
dude.
There's
There
the
was a bull
bobbit.
attack.
How else am I supposed to tell you about a bobbit worm?
Yeah. That was the whole point of that, was
Yeah.
to just be able to, for 30 seconds, tell us about the bobbit worm. Yeah. Great. All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, everyone. Love you.
See
Love
ya.
you too. Bye.